Hello everyone, hello listeners. My name is Bima Rahman and I'm from Bandung Institut of Technology, and I'm here to talk about the influence of international brands in shaping customers' purchase behavior in Indonesia in the sportswear industry. This is the overall overview of the presentation. There are 11 parts here, and without further ado, let's start. So, in this study, we will explore how international sportswear brands influence consumer purchasing decisions in Indonesia, and we'll look at the significance of brand loyalty, the role of social media, and the cultural context that affects consumer behavior as a whole. So, global marketing and globalization, the expansion of international brands due to globalization, and then the also the importance of Indonesia's economy as a whole. So it's a developing nation with a large and young population, and there is a significant economic growth in the country. And also for the market potential, there is about 52%, approximately 52% of Indonesia's population is under 29. So a lot of it are Gen Zs and millennials. So the whole sportswear thing is very popular in Indonesia because uh, with the addition of social media, a lot of people are more into sports nowadays. And the market overview. So there's quite a dominance of international brands, especially Nike, Adidas, Puma, uh, and sometimes also with a bit of New Balance and Under Armour, which leads the market based on the top brand index in the second half of 2024, which was recently voted, and Nike, Adidas, and Puma led in a lot of categories, including shoes and casual wear for the sportswear. But there are also local competitors like Ray and Specs. Despite being like a smaller company, they still contribute to the industry competition. Moving on to the problems, there isn't exactly a huge problem in the industry, but there is a lack of study regarding like what are the main drivers towards the consumer behavior of the people in Indonesia. Why are they buying this more than the other brands? And yeah, just questions like that. And also, we still do not know why the local companies like Ray and Specs are yet to be a big player, and what makes the international brands better than the local brands. So with that, we can ask a few questions. In what ways do well-known international brands influence the purchasing behavior of people in Indonesia? Or how exactly do international corporations influence consumer behavior in Indonesia via marketing? And how do demographics, individual attributes, and cultural factors influence the influence of international brands on the purchasing behavior of Indonesian consumers? So, for the research question, we have the four independent variables of trust, brand image, promotion, and advertising. So, the research questions are: is there a correlation between one of the four variables and customers' purchase behavior in Indonesia in the sportswear industry? And the objective is basically just to examine the effects of international brands, uh, one of the variables on the customer's purchasing behavior in Indonesia. So we can know we want to know the effects of, for example, trust on the customer's purchase behavior or the promotion of the companies. Okay, so for the literature review, so existing literature highlights the importance of brand image, social media influence, and different cultural factors in shaping consumer behavior. However, there is a limited research focused specifically on the Indonesian market, which this study aims to address. Starting with consumer behavior analysis, so economic, social, and psychological factors affecting consumer decision. So these key factors are motivation, perception, learning, and attitudes. Also, for the trust, it's essential for long-term customer relationships and the trust in online purchasing. So it increases likelihood of purchase and customer retention. As for the promotions, temporary strategies to increase sales by offering value, the value for money itself, and also sometimes if you're doing maybe too many promotions or promotions on like products that you should not have done. It also might be changing the perception of that product, as promotional items often seen as less valuable. So for the brand image, it's basically just the consumer perception and memories associated with a certain brand, and the impact. The strong brand image leads to customer loyalty. And uh, for the last one, for advertising, its purpose is just to stimulate interest and drive purchases. And the media influence, how different media channels have varying impacts on consumer behavior. For the theoretical framework, this is the diagram and the framework that was made with the dependent variable, which is the consumer behavior. There's a different of the four different independent variable of trust, promotion, and brand image, and also advertising that could affect the customer's purchase behavior. And from that, we could make four hypotheses for each variable. Number one is that trust positively influences the purchase behavior. Number two, sales promotion positively influences the purchase behavior. Number three, brand image positively influences the purchase behavior. And also number four, advertising positively influences the purchase behavior as well. So for the research design, there's 7 steps. So the first one is the preliminary research that was made prior to even making this study. And then number two is finding the problem. So what problem is there, and just how you could make the objectives out of the problems. And then the third one is the literature review and the hypothesis development. So after doing all the review of past literatures and past works, there comes the development of hypothesis, like last slide. And then the methodology, where what methods were used. And then it's the fifth one is the explanation of the type of method that you use, which is in this case, we're going to use quantitative data collection. And also number six is the data analysis of the collection. And the last one would be the conclusion and the recommendation. So for the methodology, the first thing is the approach, where we will be using a positivist approach, basically to study the patterns and relationships between social factors, and it's best using the quantitative method. And for its data collection, uh, it will be a survey questionnaire distributed to the Indonesian customers via different channels like social media, email, and word of mouth, where the questions will be in the Likert scale, like a 1 to 5 scale. And as for the analysis tools, the SPSS is used to gather analysis for the statistics, including descriptive tests, multiple regression tests, also the reliability, and also the p-value. For the research findings, uh, there are a total of 173 respondents distributed into various different demographics. So first of all is the age groups. So majority of the respondents are between 15 to 24 years old, with about 56.6% of them. Um, and that is roughly about 98 of them out of 173. And the gender in this case is quite balanced, where uh, the male respondents were 89 people, whereas the female respondents were 84. And the majority of the respondents were from Jakarta, about 35.3% of them, or 61 of them. And with second is the West Java with 38 of them. For the descriptive and reliability test, there are the five variables with the purchase behavior, brand trust, promotion, brand image, and advertising. Um, we'll be using the reliability test. We'll get the Cronbach's alpha. And so once we've done the descriptive and reliability test, you get the Cronbach alpha of this on the right side of the slide, which is the table. And you could see that the Cronbach alpha for each of the variables are between 0. Are bigger than zero point 0.6 and lesser than zero point 0.8. So that's the uh, optimum range of the alpha that we should have, except for advertising, which is slightly above the optimum range of the alpha, but it's still not as far off. So all of the um, variables here are so far reliable. Next, we have the significance test. So as you can see, once again, we use the hypothesis for each of them, and we could see that if we do the multiple regression analysis, we would get the beta and the p-significance, which is where we'll use this uh, as a form of benchmark, whether it's taken or not. And so for the key results, we can see that trust is the strongest predictor of the purchase behavior with a beta of 0.514. But we see that the p-significance is lesser than 0.001. And in this case, SPSS doesn't take this small number, so it will put it as 0.00. Therefore, it's a very small number. However, this means that there is a good significance, and the second one is promotion. It's also significant positive influence, so with a beta of 0.290 and also a p-significance of below 0.001. And with that, we can see that the two, which is the trust and promotion, the hypothesis is accepted. That means that trust and promotion uh, positively influence people's purchase behavior, whereas as you can see, brand image and advertising are not significant predictors as they have a p-significance of a higher than 0.005, with brand image having 0.185 and the advertising having 0.278. So in this case, the advertising with 0.278 means that it is the least significant out of all of the variables. So in conclusion, so we see trust as a predominant factor. So the analysis reveals that trust is the most influential factor in driving consumer purchasing behavior for these international sportswear brands in Indonesia. And the consumers prioritize these brands that they perceive as reliable and credible, which is why the international brands like Nike, Adidas, Puma, they score high in the tip top brand index in Indonesia, because people trust these brands more as they are, older, and they are known in like all around the world, so they have a good credibility. Moreover, the impact of promotion. So the promotional activities also significantly impact purchasing behavior. Consumers are responsive to discounts, special offers, and other promotional tactics based on the questions that were asked. So people are more likely to respond to discounts and offers. Also, for the last part, limited influence of brand image and advertising. So, the contrary to expectations, brand image and advertising did not show a significant direct effect on the purchasing behavior of people in Indonesia. So, this might suggest a few things. They are less critical in the final purchasing decision compared to trust and promotion. So, they might play an important part in brand awareness, but I think towards the end, they might be less critical in making the final decision to buy things compared to trust and promotion. So for the recommendations, so we have number one, the business recommendation. So based on this current study, we know that companies should build trust. So maybe focus on a more reliable and honest marketing, instead of just money grabbing and cash grabbing, and making other people be distrust of your company. And also maybe utilize more effective promotions, so you could implement like targeted promotional strategies, and also like localized advertising, so which would consider cultural relevance and preferences. Reason is because advertising was also not a significant part, so it could be that there's something that's quite lacking in the advertising section. Maybe people are not uh, kind of adapting to international brands because the advertisements does not match with the do not match with their values. And also for the future research, number one, we could broaden the sample diversity, so we could include participants from different geographic regions, such as maybe a different continent. Let's see someone from Europe, how it would differ, how they would perceive the brands differently than in Indonesia, or somewhere maybe in North America, because we all have different backgrounds and cultures. And yes, also consider these diverse socioeconomic backgrounds. So we need maybe to focus on all of the backgrounds, like for example from the high class, lower class, middle class, and also to improve the data collection methods. So we could incorporate maybe more observational methods, or use a slightly different methodology that could maybe have a different result than this one. And also conduct more in-depth interviews alongside self-reported data. Also, maybe we could change the methodology to qualitative, and apply these in-depth interviews more, and and see how it would fare compared to this quantitative method. And for the last part, we can expand the influencing factors. So the independent variables could be changed. Maybe we could study the impact of social media instead, because social media is kind of like the big thing nowadays. And also the cultural trends. So when we also use a different when we utilize different socioeconomic backgrounds and geographic regions in a study, we should also analyze the cultural trends of how this culture could fare with this brand, and so on. And also examine the specific product features. For example, maybe these set of people prefer like a more comfortable shoe, and that could also potentially be used in further and future research. And with that, thank you for listening to my presentation. If you have any questions, feel free to just ask in the comment section. And thank you very much.